Well, good afternoon. How are you all today? And welcome to Prepping for Prosperity. I'm Steve Smith, for anybody who's new and hadn't been with us before. I was just about to make a totally different video for the channel today, but I was putting up a video up for another channel, and I happened to see something scroll up on you know how it gives a feed of the next thing that's recommended or whatever, and it was a video from Dave Ramsey about, and the question was, how much cash should you keep at home? Now, I thought that was a pretty good question. And so I thought, well, I'll watch this. Most of you know that I'm not a big fan of Dave Ramsey. I don't really have a huge problem with him. I don't dislike him. I think that he's just very limited in his scope. And while that's necessary for a certain segment of people who have gotten themselves into some bad financial problems, well, you know, good for him, do whatever he wants, but I'm not a big fan. There's a lot that I agree with him on, and there's a lot that I don't. So anyway, so I watched this, and as I started watching it, I noticed, you know how you read through the comments, one of the first comments was, well, I disagree with what Ramsey said. We all know that he hates preppers, but, and then they went on to say something else, and I said, well, that's interesting. I hadn't known that about him. I would have thought that, you know, being kind of conservative with his money, I might have thought he'd feel, you know, the opposite way. So I watched it. It was only 4 minutes long, so I decided, okay, I'll watch this. And it was a lady calling in, and her question was, how much money is too much to, or how much money should I keep at home, or how much is too much to keep at home? And I forget whether they asked her how much she was talking about, but right away he started laughing and says, so you're one of those keep your money in the mattress people, huh? And then his cohort there started laughing and saying, or maybe in a coffee can out and buried in the backyard, huh? And they both just started laughing about this, which I thought was extremely rude and very disparaging. Well, the lady was you know, she stayed polite, and she was talking about it, and it sounds like she was talking about a substantial amount of money. And she said, well, you've always said to carry cash, and you know, cash is king and all that. And he went, I won't try to go through the whole thing. I will put, just, you know, every time that I shoot a video, I put the same video on the Patreon channel, so that so you know, a lot of people just like to check the Patreon channel because they can go there and they can get all the videos that are on the YouTube channel, plus all the extra stuff that I put up over there. And so I am going to put a couple of the articles. I was going to talk about the odds of an impending crash, what's going on with that, articles from some very astute people to kind of reinforce what I was going to talk. I'll still put those when I put this one over there, so you'll be able to read those. But I'll also put up the link to the video I'm talking about that Ramsey did, so you can watch that. And at the end, so he was saying, well, I always carry $1,000 of cash in my pocket, but the rest I leave in the bank, and you know, when I need something, if I'm going to buy a car or something, I just have the money wired to them. Most of us don't have money wired to someone. And then at the very end, he says, you know, there's no reason. He says, I know people who keep, you know, $5,000 or $10,000 in a small safe at home. But after that, that's in case they want some ready cash and the ATM is down or something. He says, but you know, after that, you're getting into like preppers and stuff, and the disparaging tone of his voice it was just dripping off of him, and I was pretty disappointed in that. So that made me want to talk to you all about this, because I have had people ask me. I had a couple of messages, as a matter of fact, on the Patreon channel asking me something about this, and I was going to get to this. How much money, how much cash should you keep at home? Okay, here's There's a few things that go into that. First off, how much extra cash do you have? First off, pay off all your credit cards, okay? Because and I've talked about that before, you're paying interest on your credit cards. And so if you have cash that you're holding on to, it would be good to have, a few hundred at home in case, like, Ramsey's right on this, in case one day the ATMs are down. But other than that, pay down those credit cards before you start holding on to cash, because you're paying a lot of money in interest in those credit cards. And as you pay them off, if you need the buying power of the cash that you're sitting on, by paying the credit cards down, if for whatever reason you needed an emergency money and you decided that you were going to use a credit card, you would have that buying power back in those credit cards that you paid the interest down. Now, right here, I might have some people say, don't ever use credit cards. We're not going to get into that. If you don't want to use credit cards, good for you, don't, okay? There are some people who may need to. It is their emergency money, okay? The alternative would be to borrow from friends, borrow from relatives, which nobody wants to do. I mean, this is your issue. Take care of it. Or not pay the bill? Your transmission goes out, okay? What are you going to do? As simple as that. Well, the transmission shop, they'll finance me, at a higher finance charge than the credit card. So what's, if you have a 0% credit card for up to 12 months. So what's the point of that? You see, too many people get hooked into this. Don't use credit at all. Credit is for emergencies, or it's for those things that, most people just don't have the cash for, a house being one, a car being another, a vehicle being another. So there are times that people simply need to use credit, and they shouldn't be made to feel like they're some kind of subhuman person because they do, okay? So here again, first pay off the credit cards so that you stop paying all that interest. That's going to put money in your pocket. But then after that, the things that go into the decision of how much cash to keep at home are these. How much extra cash do you have? Okay. How secure is your home? And I've said before, I only keep in a bank account what's necessary to pay my monthly bills. Okay, because I pay those electronically, and there will be people who say, oh, I don't do it. Come on, we live in the 21st century. Just a lot of our communications and our finances and all that are handled online. If you don't want to do it, that's fine, but most of us do it, okay, because that's life today, right? It's interesting that many of the people, who will say, well, I'd rather write a check. Okay, well, 100 years ago, people might tell you, that's nuts to write a check. I'm not just going to write a piece of paper and let that piece of paper go around to people that I don't know, I'm going to deal in good old cash, or good old gold or something like that. Well, we live, come on, catch up, right? So how much money cash do you have to have? How secure are you able to keep it at home? Okay. And I'll tell you a story about, I don't know if I should or not. Nah, I'll leave that for another time. How secure you can make it. You don't want it in some flimsy, I wouldn't put it in the, the ice cube trays or anything like that. Have a good safe that you can and so that can't be carried out. And then, because I saw this comment on there too, but they can make you open that safe. The home invaders, yeah, they can. Yeah. And well, I'll tell you a story there. I'll tell it a different time, but I'll tell you the upshot here. A group broke into a house, an old lady's house, because they knew she had a safe. They beat her all night long, and she refused to give them the combination. She was in bad shape, but they weren't able to get open her safe. And now the guy will say, but if I could do it. I could make her talk. Yeah, I know. Come on. Let's stay within the realm of the 99% of what's going to happen in our world, okay? Because I could write a good book about all that other stuff. I've written books about that, right? But let's stay within the 99%. Have a place to where it can't be burgled, right? Have it in a big, heavy safe in a place that's secured. Nobody's going to take it out of the house. And there will be people who say, but you get on and you make these videos. What if somebody came after you? And my answer is, well, are you going to? Good luck. And I know none of you would. So how secure is it? And then once you get above a certain amount, and I can't tell you what that amount is. People are going to be different. The people are going to be comfortable with different amounts. I know some people who keep a little. I know some people who keep a lot. Does the world know that they have it? The world can guess. Yeah. Do you remember the Home Alone movies where Joe Pesci and his partner, they were looking, we're looking, for possible cash hoards, things like that. Well, people know that people with money tend to have cash. If you're not ostensibly, if you don't look like you're rich, probably nobody's going to be looking at your house saying, I bet there's a cash hoard in there. And here again, it's always best to look as if you're less than you really are, as opposed to trying to act like you're more than you really are. So think about that. What makes you comfortable? It would be nice to have, several months of expenses at home in case the system came down and cash was still good for the guy who's getting ready to type. But the whole thing's going to come down and your cash is not going to be worth anything. Stop it. There's other channels for you. This is for intelligent people who think. I can't really tell you, but I do want to say that keeping most of your money in a bank. If you've got hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash, that can be a problem. I would simply say have it somewhere where it is just as safe as can be. Don't let anybody know that you've got it. And, there will be a time to where you need to start putting that stuff into durable goods, into investments. And that time is going to be different for everybody. And here's why I say, I have always said invest in food and guns. They always go up. Now, if we go into a depression, the food's going to be less. But you're going to have it. You won't even have to spend a little bit, right? You'll have the cash. You can't put it in stocks right now because stocks are too high. You can't put it in land because land's too high. Real estate's too high. It's going to come down. Keep your cash for that. So what I'm saying here, we could go off into so many different branches of exactly what point in time and should we do this, and what I might do might be different than you're comfortable with. Okay, but my main thing here is simply that this making fun of people who keep money, who keep cash in a secure location, making fun of them like Ramsey did. I was shocked. I was surprised. He's usually, I think of him as a nice guy. He identifies as a Christian person, and I don't doubt that. I don't see making fun of people as fitting in with that. So I'm not going to make fun of, anybody that's doing that, who's trying to do their best. And had the woman called me and asked me that, I'd said, what are you comfortable with? How secure can you make it? What do you need? How much do you need to keep in the bank? And any excess, do you have needs? Do you need to pay off your mortgage? Do you need to pay down everything? Are you completely debt-free? I know that sounds a lot like Ramsey, and in that case, he's right. And then what can you put your money in that's going to retain its value or grow in value? And that's where I would put. Now, when the stock market goes down, the stock market is going to be a good place to put your money. But you don't put it in there until it's down, because you want it in there as it goes up, right? Same thing with real estate. Same thing with all these things. Okay, I'll get back to do what I was going to talk about today, tomorrow, or the next day. But we are approaching all of the top economic leaders in the world, they keep coming out. Everybody's kind of breathing a sigh of relief over, though I think that the Fed is going to take action. Everything's going to be all right. Hey, it may not be all right. And that is what some of the top people are saying. And in that case, cash is going to be very important, because inflation is the monster right now. And you need that. And then if everything goes into the tank, your cash, which is money, guys. Don't let these people who watch all the gold commercials tell you that it's not money. It is money, because that's what we use for exchange right now. Your money, your cash, is going to be worth a lot more in a deflationary depression. Okay, so there's that. I'll put this up. I'll also put this, as I always do, over on the Patreon channel. Links down below, and I'll put the links to Ramsey's video and the articles I was going to put up today. So if you're not with us over there, it's going to be a good investment for you, because you need to keep up on all this information. I can't put it all here, but I do try to put a lot over there that's going to give you insights so that you can make the best judgments on what you need to be doing with your situation, your money at this time. So you all have a great day. Remember, your prosperity is in your hands and in the hands of the Lord, and do it His way. You'll be fine, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.